And some of the students are going to go into like maybe like counseling field in the future. And some of the or where you're from your experience, is that something that is welcomed, having an American counselor or not American counselor, but like me,
Yeah, no,
I'm Mexican, would it be okay for a Mexican counselor to come and went to Mexican American counselor to come and wanted to help them, or is it more comfortable for them to have Native American counselor or something like that?
the perfect scenario is it for to be a Native American, okay? But these tribes are open to anything that will help their people.
Oh,
So you can work on a secular level with the tribes if you've got credentials.
okay.
You can work with the tribes and they will welcome you. But once you do that, you just got to be wise how you cross bridges into religion. You know what I'm saying? That would be something you would do when you got off work. That would be something you did very slowly, a little bit at a time. But while you're there counseling, you're making friends. So when you're making friends, you're making connections. And that's what it's all about.
So maybe they might be more hesitant if I were to say I'm an apostolic counselor or Christian counselor. They might be a little.
Yeah, you just leave that off. Yeah, you don't. You leave the religion. You don't say Baptist. You don't say nobody.
Right.
Because you don't know. Well, here's what you got. You got to, number one, you got to know what the history of that tribe. Like the Eastern Band of the Cherokee, they've got 13 Baptist churches on that reservation. If you're Baptist, you got a voice. But if you're anything other than the Baptist, you don't have much of a voice. So if you're going to go in there as a counselor, you just leave the religion part of it off. And you go in there and you touch lives, you touch hearts, and maybe somewhere down the line, the doors will open to you to be able to do something else.
Sure. Wow. Wow, that's really interesting how it varies. That for the Baptist churches, is it Native American pastors or is it white pastors? Oh,
Most of the time.
okay. Okay.
We've got a friend that pastors in Cherokee, North Carolina, that is white. But he has earned his stripes. He's earned the respect of the tribe, and he could pretty well ask them anything that he wants, and they'll give it to him. He's not UPC, he's Church of God, but he's got an open heart to truth, and we're working with him. But you can, if you win their hearts and you win their respect, you've got a friend for life.
But it didn't happen overnight. That's the thing. I think sometimes we want it to happen overnight, but things, especially concerning Native American people, that takes a lot. I mean, it takes years to time, a lot of years to win them over to you, because of history.
Yes.
It's all about history. You have to, when you go into something like that, you have to understand and learn the history of the Native American people. See, when we started, we had to do that. I mean, I know I'm Native American, but you know what? When you're living right in the middle of reservation life,
you don't study it.
You don't study it. You see it for what it is right there. But I never knew the history of my own people until we got into doing this. I started learning. I started reading up on it, looking it up, and we just that has helped me. And I see Native American people different now than I did before.
And also keep in mind, we're only talking about 47% that still live on the reservation. So if you're talking about natives on the outside of the reservation, you don't have to tiptoe around a lot of stuff. You can talk about more openly about religion and stuff like that. Because here's the thing, if you anger the tribal council or the tribal elders, they can ban you from being on that reservation. So that's why you've got to be wise and you've got to walk softly when you're on the reservation. But if you're talking to some native people that live on the outside, hey, you just talk to them with wisdom as you normally would, but you could be a lot more open about your approach.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful. I think I kind of asked this earlier in a different way, but what would be something that the tribal council would get angry about? Or if I don't know if you've seen it in the past, we just heard about it. Every
Okay.
week we hear that.
Well, let me say this. All tribal councils wouldn't be angry. When you think about Native American reservations, most people think about Oklahoma, the North Dakota, South Dakota, Arizona. They don't realize there's hundreds in California, all along the California border, up in Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. Then you get over into New England. We are going to the Mohegan and the Pequot tribe when we leave here, and they are in Connecticut. And there's tribes everywhere. Then you go down to Florida, there's the Seminole, but Mississippi is the Choctaw Nation. And the chief of the Choctaw Nation in Mississippi is a UPCI brother in Jesus' name. And then you come Alabama, where the Creek Indians are. Alabama is a Creek Indian name. And so there's tribes in places where you don't think about them being. They're the coastal. If you take the coastal, the outside perimeter of the United States, that's where most of them's going to live. And then, the Canadian border, but then you've got Oklahoma. But they're in Oklahoma because they were placed there. They were made to walk there. And the Trail of Tears is something that is a real thing. But we were with a tribe, we were with a pastor in Wisconsin. He wanted to reach into a tribe there in Wisconsin, and it only had 1,000 members. Here's what you run into. The Native American people, if they fall, a tribe, some of them that are very small, if they fall below a certain number in their consensus or their census, they lose land to the federal government. So they are concerned about the white man converting someone on their reservation and them leaving the reservation. So it's a financial thing to a lot of them. And another thing you really have to deal with is, now with the Navajo Nation, not so much. There's 500,000 Navajos, 500,000. Not so much with the Cherokee. They're a large too. But with these tribes, if you convert to Christianity and they find out about it, they will dog you to death. They will disown you. They will treat you like you got the leprosy. So every tribe is different, and its approach is different to everyone.
I do have a question, and this might be, I don't know if you know this or not, but I guess the schools, is the history taught from a different perspective or anything like that you know about as far as like history in America? Is it taught differently?
I think our American history is very, for the most part, is very good because it brings out the atrocities that were done to the American people, Native American people. I think one thing, some of the things that kind of it bothers me as well as a Native is that like George Custer is made out to be some kind of hero. Well, he was not a hero. He was carrying out orders to decimate the Sioux tribe and the Cheyenne tribe. Okay, how do you want to see that? Do you want to see what lens do you want to see that? But history does not candy coat that. It refers to him as a hero, but when you look at the whole story, you got a brain and you can see, well, this wasn't much of a hero going on here, So I don't think the woke culture is trying to recreate all this stuff. But I went to school too, and when you listen to the regular, unless the schools are not teaching it anymore. And see, I don't know how much the schools have changed since I was in school. But when I was in school, we would talk the good, bad, and the ugly. And we made up our own mind.
That's true. That's very, very true.